Okay, Steven, we're here. I promise.
We didn't die.
No, luckily.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Alrighty. I should probably remove the graveyard. But it's so
Ah!
pretty! Oh, they can see us. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Quartz Garden Chronicles with my wonderful co-host, Pile Hazard. Hi!
Hi, everybody, and
So
thank you for having me once again.
we have had to have a change of plans, and because you can't stop death. That just
Yep.
happens, and that's why our previously said guest will not be able to make it because well he is the person who helps the people with the death process after the death. But today we're going to talk about the personification of death, the different ways we have seen death throughout movies, lore, life, because a couple of these are from Supernatural, and we are big Supernatural fans in this show and family. And then Cartoon Death, really cool random death picture. Most people are aware of Nubis, and of course Pesta. Pesta, I've only heard about in passing, and probably a few more because Kyle has a list of things. I just said death, and he's like, "Oh, I have this list of stuff to talk about," and I'm like, "Oh, thank God I have Pyle." So yeah,
Yeah, I
of
I might
course.
like I might just like it a little bit.
So yeah, um, we as a whole, um, are afraid of death. Most people are afraid of how they're going to die. And in my aspects of looking in life and how people see it, death comes to take you after you have passed over. Your body and your soul have parted from each other. And how you see death is different for each person. Because you may picture something like him or him. Other people hope for him because he's really cool or they think he's hot, whatever, or vice versa for her from the same show. And others from different countries have their own way of seeing death. In my life, I have yet to see the actual being of death, but I do know in my experience that he usually brings your own friends or family with him, one or two of them, to help with the process of moving forward. Like when my grandmother-in-law just died recently, she had bought he, she, it, whatever the personification of death is called for you, had brought both her husbands. Her first and her second both had passed away before she did. And they didn't care. They were sitting on beside her and waiting for her to pass and take her with them. So, but each of us may see different death because of our religion, and it the deity may take on that version, as you will see when you pass, or something totally different will happen. But I just love the personification of death. It has always interested me how I may see this personification whenever I pass.
Mhm.
How do you expect death to look when you pass?
Um, that is a really, really, absolutely great question. And anyone that actually knows me in my real life actually knows there is so much to death. But there is, in my eyes, two different things. One is death, which is uh, the actual event, or one of the four horsemen. And the other part of this is the Reaper, the Soul Collector, the Ferryman, the one that protects the souls. And
Mhm.
absolutely 100%, anybody that really truly knows me knows that I have a absolute whole thought process on this. And yes, people are going to agree with me. Yes, people are going to tell me I'm crazy. But as we all know, we don't know officially what the end of our life is until we get there. So I keep on saying I have to live the best life I possibly can. I have to do the best things I possibly can. That way I can be on the good side of the tipping scale. Because once I go and I'm on the good side of the tipping scale, and if anybody doesn't know what the tipping scale is, apparently we never came across this in any death talk. Um, but I want to be on the good side of the tipping scale. That way I can myself give up everything and become a reaper. That way I can make sure that the ones that have passed can actually go and be collected and brought to where they need to be. That way, no one is on the planet as a lost soul. But that's just the way I look at it. I've done my research. People have told me I'm crazy. People have told me, well, that's a good way of looking at it. But it's my belief. So yeah,
Both? I go with your both.
but I'll take both. I'll take both. And you know, it is hard to explain what everything is, but I really think something that came across me a long time ago was someone passing away. And when they passed away, there was just a feeling of a sigh of relief because that person had passed away. And to me, it's not just for the person that passes away, it's for everybody that knows that this person's not suffering anymore. And it almost feels like a wonderful feeling of coming across to you. And that's where I think when we talk about the Grim Reaper, that's exactly the difference. One is the action of death, and then one is the collection of the disembodied.
Mhm. That is why I have it uh, titled Personification of Death. That,
Mm-hmm.
in my mind, to explain, we're talking about this person or
Right.
thing or deity. And
Right.
I have learned death is a very personal thing. How you're going to die depends. My grandfather died uh, due to cancer, and he had uh, it had been painful for him, and it had eaten up his body. And the other grandfather had also died of cancer, but also it attacked him in a different way. And my dad, okay, there's a lot of cancer in the situation. Part of his head had been cut off, and he died in a seizure. But others have died in different ways. Like, um, on my way to have one of the checkups for Dante, I remember being behind in traffic. And luckily, my doctor had been in the same traffic, so I didn't get penalized. That the hold on a second. He found a bee magnet. Sorry. They had, well, my buddy is deaf too. He had passed away due to his motorcycle accident. Or you could die peacefully in your sleep, which is preferred. So it all depends on the situation of your life. And your way of looking at death can be totally different from ours. Your religion is your religion, or your anything, how you believe. Which personifications of death had you wanted to tell us about when you had found out we're changing the idea for the episode?
So I want to point out when it comes down to um, picturing something, humans have the greatest imaginations into trying to find what they believe that they're seeing. That way it can justify. And when we are talking about the Grim Reaper or the Plague Hag or anything, most of this came to play around the Black Plague. They want to justify why somebody was perfectly fine and then they got sick and then they died the next day. And that was one of the things that, when it came down to it, humans had to find a way to justify in their minds, okay, well, this person, he comes and he collects the souls. And it was a way that they were handling their circumstances of, I do believe, what was it, 1/3 or 2/3 of Europe's population on the Black Plague. It was an
Yeah,
incredible number. 1/3, one out of every. I want to
I
say
think it
one
was
out of.
closer to 2/3.
I'll look it up here in a sec. But when you have a village and you're looking around and you just start seeing that there are bodies that are piling up, you try your hardest to come up with something. And to get the kids to understand, sometimes we make these little stories or little legends. And that is what one of the plague hags was. That a old hag would bring a plague in and the person would die. And when they died, they would take the soul and take the soul to where it needed to go. And there was just so much that Europeans tried to understand about the Black Plague, that they were throwing stuff left and right. There is so many different religions, countries, cultures that we all basically had to pick something that did the same function but looked a little different. Like the one that was the voodoo and black magic from the Haitians, that totally looks like somebody that was dressing up, to the Hispanics that actually celebrate death in some of the most amazing ways that I've ever seen, with the Day of the Dead, where they go out and they celebrate pictures and bring them skull candies and this and that, and it's amazing. But those were in the Hispanics. They were actually seeing ones that were more along the lines of figures that were skeletons that had a sickle. So I mean, it's all different in the way that we describe things, but there again, they're all doing the same thing. And I mean, Anubis is one of the most common that a lot of people know. I mean, if you've ever watched Mummy, The Return of the Mummy, or this and that, you know Anubis. Anubis is the guardian of the dead. So, I mean,
Yes.
I was so tickled that we went into this one. But unfortunately,
it's often depicted
what's that?
as holding a crook and a flail. And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
Instead of the actual side.
Yeah, well, Anubis actually has multiple different tools that he uses. He is the one that carries the scales of life, and he will weigh your heart against a feather. And if your heart is lighter than the feather, you're supposed to be able to go to a glorious land. And in fact, Anubis is actually on the cover of this book, which, you know, it's here. Let me pull it here. There we go. Which is incredible because it's got so many different people in it, and their gods are incredible on how the function of it. Anything from being able to understand the Sphinx to Anubis to Ra, but they all have different functions. But Anubis absolutely had different tools that he used throughout the different kingdoms of Egypt. So, I mean, and every single country, every single I can't even think of what it's called. Every single culture, there you go, has something. I mean, I've got books over, and if I had more time, I would have went through all my books and checked mark everybody that was dealing with death. But honestly, every single book's got something in it, from the myths of who was in charge of what. And some of these people actually went from one culture into another culture, does the exact same thing, just got a different name. So Anubis is one of the ones that he did all the scale holding to see who was worthy of going to the next. But his job was not just that. His job was also to make sure that they got where they were going. So he was the protector of the dead, the guardian of the dead. And that's
Oh yeah.
where I believe that a lot of people need to look at the Reaper that we have in what we believe and just understand that they are the protectors of the dead. They're not the ones that have caused these horrible and terrible things to happen, but it has happened. And shifting what you look at a Reaper for and bring it into, hey, this is a good thing because this person cares about the dead so much that they're making sure that the dead gets into the afterlife.
He even took care of his fellow gods when Seth killed Osiris,
Yeah.
and he assisted in the resurrecting of Osiris through mummification,
Mm-hmm.
and made sure that he was able to go on and live in the afterlife. He didn't care if you were a fellow god or a human.
Right.
And
And
I've loved all the different mythologies from like the Moon Knight to the Mummy that have shown him.
right. And that's one of those things that we absolutely do not need to be afraid of death. I mean, I am a person that I when it comes, I'm ready for it. It's going to be a hardship for my family, hardship for my friends, but that doesn't mean I want to fear death where I run from it. I'm a firm believer that it's going to come, and when it comes, it's going to take me. So I can't run from it. I can be smart and try protecting myself from what could be a possible death or a way out of it. But I'm not going to run from death and say, you know what? I don't want to do this right now. Because if death is coming, death is coming. I just hope that on the other side, there is somebody that is caring and ready to accept me and take me to wherever I will go.
That is, I am more afraid of how than death itself, because there's a possibility of pain.
Yep.
And that is what I don't want. That's what I'm afraid
So
of, how it may hurt.
so recently, um, in June, I actually had to take some time off of a lot of shows, and I actually had to take some time off of the podcast network because I had a friend that passed. Uh, he passed in a what we say is a terrible way to go, but it was also one of those ways that they're pretty sure there was no understanding of the circumstances that just happened. And as much as we don't want to admit that these things do happen and it is a possibility, the work that he chose puts him at a higher risk. Um, so question is, what uh, us being survivors after a friend has passed, how do we handle things? And that is where we need to make sure that we come together as much as possible because we are the survivors of this incident. Even though we were not exactly at that incident, we are survivors after that incident. Incidents happen all the time. Now, how do we handle this? Um, that is one of the hardest things, being able to just look at it and say, well, it happened. And no one truly really wants to admit that somebody's gone. And it's terrible. But we also have to understand that we're here and we have to go on. And it's one of those things that it might take a week, might take a month, might take a couple of years. There's not a single time I do not see my buddy's name on something that I don't want to break down. That doesn't mean that I'm not healing. That just means that it's catching up with me and it's hard. But in my belief, he was gone and there's nothing I could have done. So I hoped that someone guided him to where he needed to go in a peaceful way.
Somewhere on the internet, I can't remember what it was, who made it. Somebody made this cartoon that described the grief after you pass away. Right now, it's a ball the size of your head, and it's just bouncing. And as you move along, the ball gets smaller and smaller, and it stops hitting the sides as often. And the thing is, it's been 26 years since my mom died, and there are still random days something will happen. And I will just bust out crying because she's gone. And there's other days where I can just say, okay, she's passed away. I'm okay with that. And we can move forward. Just remember that, I guess, my lovely listeners, that it never truly goes away, but it gets easier to deal with. It just takes what feels like forever. And no, you don't ever have to stop grieving and missing that person. You literally can't. It just gets, the ball of grief sort of shrinks.
And, this is, like I've said in the past when we've done this podcast and I've been on here, I have said this is one of the podcasts that it's one of those that's really hard to bring up a lot of things, but we're never trying to be negative about it. We all understand that this is going to happen. And when we talked about this subject today, the beliefs behind this, that is the key factor. The beliefs. You will have your beliefs. I will have my beliefs. Friday will have her beliefs. And that is one of the biggest things. Your belief should be what takes you through someone's passing. And when we go and we say something about this stuff, if your belief is an Anubis or the Grim Reaper or this or that, that's perfectly fine. And if your belief happens to be that it's gone, it's done, and there's nothing afterward, I cannot look at you and tell you you are wrong. Because I don't know what's on the other side of what I call the straight line. And anybody that knows me on a personal level, you will understand that I have done so much in my life. But the thing is, I have lost so many friends to what I call the straight line. And once it's a straight line, I can't stop it. And sometimes we all need to understand that sometimes you don't want to bring them back from a straight line, because the straight line was their gift of getting out of whatever circumstances brought them there, and you might not get the right person back. But once again, that's my belief. I'm never going to tell you guys that you guys are wrong, because no one's ever showed me that I'm wrong, and no one's ever showed me I am totally right. And this is the one thing that my wife would absolutely nod her head on. I like to be right, but I like people to prove me wrong too. But yeah,
please continue.
No, go ahead.
On Facebook, on YouTube. I don't know about YouTube, but on Facebook and TikTok, I know for sure there's Flicker Spark and Death and Martha and their series. I recommend watching this. She brings in all the pantheons. She even brings in See You Later and their help desk. And I I love how she explores the different pantheons, how she explores people dealing with their death afterwards, and how they will go where they go. She does not discredit anybody else's beliefs, but she also adds hers in there as well. It is a great series with wonderful characters. And yeah,
Mind
I
you,
definitely recommend seeing how she does that.
when she says different characters, she plays all the characters, and she does a really wonderful job of bringing a new twist on death, because she will actually act like the secretary, and she will send herself, which will act like uh, death, to go and talk to somebody. And it's just one of those things that makes me laugh every single time, because the different situations that we actually look at and we believe in, and she's never looked at them and said, this is this is that. There was one episode that she got into, and somebody said, well, I thought there was nothing on the other side. And Death goes, well, maybe you found something now. It's not saying that, yes, there is. It's saying there's a possibility of a non-believer in anything finding something. Because she's not a crystal ball, and that is one thing. I don't think anybody that can tell the future would love to look into what's behind death. We all have our different outlooks, our different religions. So those are the ones that we usually follow. The one thing is, there's not too many cemeteries that have any type of Grim Reaper in it. And I am going to highly suggest all people, if you go and you do trick or treat at a assisted living, do not dress as death. It's not comical for some of them. The rest of them will laugh, but yeah, there are some that think that that's very untasteful. Other ones just absolutely laugh, and some of them might throw themselves at you. So yeah, just talking about that and making sure everybody knows. Watch out what you wear to a funeral or a assisted living. But
And I found one.
oh yeah, what'd you find?
I'm trying to upload it real quick.
As you can tell, she's the one. Oh, there we go. So I will tell you something about haunts.
There are.
We like making our tombstones. And some of the greatest tombstones that we have ever made has been skeletons that kind of look like reapers. And they're made with something called monster mud. It is basically, you just take the fabric, you put it on this, and you take monster mud and you put it on there, and it makes the whole entire prop really seriously hard, and then you can paint it however you want to paint it. But there's a lot of people that absolutely love those in their cemeteries, because you usually don't see them in a cemetery unless it is actually on a tombstone that someone has privately paid for. And some cemeteries won't even allow you to do it because they have guidelines.
Yeah. Some cemeteries I have found will let you bring in any tombstone you like and have added. There are other cemeteries that will have you go through a certain tombstone distributor, which I am not a fan of. Some don't even like you making your own coffins because they would rather you buy from, well, that's also the funeral home. Some funeral homes don't want you to make your own coffins. They would rather you buy from the selection they have for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it all depends on who you go through and if you can some you're going to have to talk with them personally and find out, because there's also the possibility of shopping around and finding a new place or a new graveyard or a new funeral home to go through to get what you would like instead, because I'm very big on your preferences being met.
I will tell you that some cemeteries are so strict on things that when you purchase plots, you will sign their agreements, and if they want to change something years down the road, just because you sign that contract doesn't mean that contract will not redo itself in a different way. That, oh well, this is no longer available. You have different religions that have different cemeteries. There was a a prop that was made years ago, and I remember reading this story, and I can't remember where it was. But the Grim Reaper type prop was holding an urn, and it was made with monster mud, reinforced, this and that. Great, looked wonderful. After the haunt shut down, they sold it, and they kept on moving it, and it was sold and moved and sold and moved until somebody knocked over the monster mud creation and broke it and realized that all this time the urn was a active urn. It actually had somebody in it that was their request, and they got away with it.
Remains.
Just to tell you, you can't take something like that and put it in a cemetery without them really questioning everything about it. The statues could be marble, could be granite, could be a lot of different things in a cemetery, but they really want to know that whatever is being done and put in a cemetery can be done as proper as possible and as tasteful to everybody that is coming to visit. So that's why they put some rules and some regulations on things. Now, if you have a private owned family cemetery, or you have a cemetery that is on your property, that is a different story, because you, as a person of the family, can put anything you want in there as long as it is not against the rest of the family, because that causes a family feud. Some cemeteries have been lost cemeteries, and when you have lost cemeteries, you don't even know they're there because it just does not get upkept, taken care of. So yeah, I mean, I I feel bad here, Friday. I keep on going on and on and on and on. I'm sure you want to talk about
Yeah,
something
you
here.
keep on. But to build on three different parts of the what you've added. The first part, we have family-owned cemetery. That as of right now, it has grandpa, sorry, sinusy, and my aunt in it. And there might be other remains there that I don't know about, but I only know of those two so far. Well, those three. I got to be there as they were buried. And as for lost cemeteries, on a previous episode, we had talked about various cemeteries being found because of natural disasters
Yep.
and them just coming up to the top. It's like, oh, well, that's new. We didn't even know you were there. And on Ask a Mortician and in her books, um, she had talked about how in other countries you get a funeral plot for a year and you leave your decedent's family member decedent there until their bones have all the decay has come off,
Mm-hmm.
and the you take the bones and the, wherever your family takes them from there. And others, they they have all different types. Some even cook the dead and eat it. They cook it and then they eat and then they go throw up until they have the whole body taken care of. But here in the States, I have found that I have deeds to cemetery plots of like my dead grandfather and so on and so forth, where we own the plot. The family has the deed and they stay there for eternity or until somebody, after we have passed away and have gone, they decide to excavate the cemetery and move the people. And I have found that I've enjoyed the different exploration of how people are uh, taken care of after they're dead, whether they're in the house until burial, which can come years later, or they're at a plot and you just go visit them there. Like I have shown and the different pictures of his and my family on the show or on our page before. And I do
So,
appreciate you letting us show your family plots.
no problem. So I do want to say something. When it comes up to the deeds of property where deceased is laying, um, you can actually transfer. If you find a spot where, say, a loved one could be put and you want that person to be removed, they can go ahead and dig up. And then it's kind of odd because it becomes a property. The person that your loved one becomes your property because you are the keeper. And then you can take that person and bring them to the new cemetery. In the Catholic religion, you dig up and then you have to rebury, but you have to have a Catholic priest be there to do the ceremony. I know this because Uncle Stephen was located in Minster. Uncle Stephen got dug up. Uncle Stephen was then brought to Botkins, and Uncle Stephen was buried. I will also tell you that if it's not worked in the right time, you are held responsible for the casket and the body. So if you dig one up and you ain't got nowhere to store it, you better figure out, okay, we're picking it up from here and we got to put it here. And if you can get to connect all in the same time, it's great. If not, you may have the body riding around in the casket. Not saying that has happened, but not saying that my uncle wasn't dug up and rode around in grandma's car until he could be replaced a week later. Just saying that, it happens. It's something that everybody has to think about. It's something that everybody has to get on the same page agreement. And when I say my uncle, I mean he was a preemie that did not make it. So itty bitty casket fits in the back of the trunk, and it's totally legal. Yeah, not to ruin anybody's dreams, thoughts, or anything. Just saying, I know this because it's happened.
We were a little bit when we had to bring Granny from Houston, to Newton. Luckily, everybody had already agreed that she was going to be put in the family plot and the family cemetery and our actual family's yard.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing that we had to coordinate was we had the funeral there. Well, the celebration of life. Well, the celebration of her life. And it was interesting what people learned about each other at her death that they should have learned about 40 years ago. But sometimes that happens. I need you to understand. Sometimes you find out things about your family at a funeral that you wouldn't have never known if you hadn't have actually talked with them. And sometimes you need to have that conversation then instead of 40 years ago, and you have lost so much time because you had a misconception about that person. Please don't let that happen. Enjoy the life. Talk about it. Please talk, because sometimes talking can help. And then it was a 3-hour drive back into the back roads of Newton here. And yeah, it's one of those roads where I'm not sure if I can get back there without help yet to my family member's house. So yeah, I've only been there like 3 times for the 3 funerals.
You ever rode on an airplane? No? Okay. So I'm gonna break somebody here. I know it. But just so everybody knows, almost every flight has somebody on that plane that has flatlined. And it's not necessarily a person that their family member is on that plane. A lot of planes will carry in their cargo coffins, caskets, whatever. And the reason is because someone might pass in one area and they gotta be transported. Some airports will make sure that the person is secured before people get on the plane, because they don't want to see a giant crate, whatever. And that kind of takes away from the whole atmosphere. Some people will actually get them loaded while the people are doing the demonstration on here's how your seatbelt, here's how this operates, as a distraction. And I found this out years ago. So it's a possibility that this might be something that, hey, there's somebody on your plane that has straight lined and they're just trying to get home. There is many times over that family members will go to destinations. They will be on that plane with that loved one as a transport honor person, just to make sure that anything happens, it is right there. And unlike most of your luggage, the airplane uh, companies usually do not lose your loved ones. So you might have lost your toothbrush, but grandpa's okay downstairs. It's kind of hard to lose that. It is such a big
In
item.
2004.
Some airplane companies will not do that. Some shipping places will not do that. It's one of the things that your funeral directors will absolutely go ahead and they will figure out, okay, this has been done by this person, we can do it too. If your loved ones need to get home. And speaking of this entire thing, there is another kind of sad truth. If you guys are supporters on the stuff that you guys have in your house and you're supporter of your food and this and that, understand a truck driver brought it to where it could be bought in. The bad thing is, some rest areas, you have a truck driver that goes there and he has not moved his truck in a couple of days. He's passed away. There is not always the best capabilities of getting truck drivers home. There is actually a group that they actually help families get their truck drivers home, because it is like the biggest and hardest thing when you lose a family member over the road, and trying to get them home might be one of the hardest things because no one knows exactly where they are until they're found. So I want to bring that up. Just put that in your head. I'm a truck driver. I'm home every night, thank goodness. But I know a lot of them are not. And if something would happen, that might be a real bad situation for a lot of families. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up.
In 2004, there was a plane with my dad on it. Somebody unknowingly rode back home to the Chattanooga area with my dad. So yeah,
You guys,
that was interesting to find out.
a lot of people don't know. A lot of people will just see cargo get loaded up, this and that, have no idea. They will do military this way, but there is a special way that the military will be presented on a plane. So the average Joe will just get loaded, and it's the staff members that load and make sure. The military will bring the person out in a specially made cargo cart, and they will have military help load onto the plane. They will have them make sure that it is secured, and when the plane stops and that person is to be offloaded, there will be military that does the exact same thing. So yeah, just always put that in your heads that, hey, there might be somebody underneath my feet. Yep. And the thing is, they don't mind the cold, because cargo holds get really cold. So, but yeah, as like I always do, we absolutely jump around on these topics when we do this show, because honestly, no one wants to really talk about death, and no one wants to really think about death. And if you're my doctor, you talk to me about death because you think that this is a scare tactic into getting me to lose 5 pounds. I'm accepting death. That is not going to help me. Quality of life is going to help me. So I will lose weight for quality of life, not because the cheeseburger is going to kill me. There's a lot more things in my life that's going to kill me before that cheeseburger.
Yeah, all types of things can kill you. Okay.
But yeah.
We have strayed from the original topic, but I'm thinking we should turn it into a series of TikToks.
Of TikToks?
Yeah, we pick gods of death and we tell about the lore.
That means we would have to do a little more research than, hey, we're changing this and here it is. Because I will tell you right now, I've got this many books. Oh, wait, no, I got another one. I got this many books, and they all have somebody dealing with death in them.
Great.
From the Greeks.
Do me a favor. Send me pictures and we'll put them in the group. Hey guys, there's a Corpse Garden Chronicles group and page.
Yep.
And I'm working on building both up and making sure all the episodes get moved over there. And in the group, we're going to put things like the links about different things we found in the show today. That wonderful picture of Anubis that I really do suggest you going to Etsy and getting, because you can't tell me this beautiful person has not made a beautiful picture.
It is very nice. I love it. I will tell you now, I want to buy a statue of Anubis, but I can't find one that's really nice under $35. And I can't buy something unless I can absolutely justify buying it. It doesn't mean I won't find a way to justify it. It just means I haven't done it.
There is no justification to this other than it was 12 instead of 100 and it's purple. None. Because I did not want one until it was purple.
I like the way you think. I don't know if I can do that all the time. Just because of a color.
Well, I don't do it all the time either. This was a stupid purchase. But this, however, was a wonderful gift. Because we love our owls here. But yeah. We are reaching our hour mark. And I think we're going to turn this series into a series of text talks. Because you need to learn about how Pesta was a shadowy figure, the plague hag, approaches a farmhouse, clad in a black hood and red skirt, and brings with her the pestilence that decimated the Europe in 14th century. She travels through the countryside, tracing a path of the disease. She travels from farm to farm in each countryside and flies over the mountains. And she loves traveling by boat. And dude, there is so much more to this tale. We need to tell you about Anubis and how he is seen and more about that lore. And Flicker Spark, just go watch Flicker Spark's lore. You'll love it. Please. Because the little kid that is a complete and total crazy person who has no problem setting fires to anything. You've got to watch it, learn the lore, love her.
Right.
So, okay, I'm going to get him to send us pictures of his books. That way we can all find them and read them. And hopefully we will work on TikToks explaining the different aspects of death. And Where would you like to be found, Kyle?
I like to be found here on the Allight Network on lots of different shows. I would also like to be found on Facebook at Pile Hazard on Facebook. You can watch my TikToks, but I haven't really done TikToks for a little bit. And you know what? We're getting closer and closer to Halloween, so you could probably find me at Chainer's Field of Screams or Chainer's Haunted Secrets. Chainer's Field of Screams is actually a charity haunted house, and Chainer's Haunted Secrets is the podcast that goes through everything in the haunted industry. And I just got another wonderful tidbit on somebody that could be another wonderful guest tonight. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Don't forget to join us Friday for another episode.
Not
And
this weekend.
also-
Next weekend.
I thought it was next weekend? Next Friday.
Next Friday. Oh yeah.
Oh,
You will be
doing
joining
everything.
these guys because I will be at Kings Island spending quality time with my family. Unless someone gets sunburnt and gets sent home a little quicker, then I'll be on the show too.
Either way, you're going to see me enjoy grilling another haunter. And if I'm very lucky, I get to have some of my actual haunter friends here of the network to help me. We'll find out how that goes. But until then, we also have this amazing book with most the people on the network have added stories. Mine is a haunted house story, and hopefully you like my beautiful characters. And we have wonderful guests like Curtis Imloth and Steve Van Sampson and Rob. We all love Rob's stories. All of the proceeds go to pro literacy, where every adult has the right to read. They help people find the success they need in learning how to read.
Which, I'm not
And
going to lie,
help us.
is totally amazing.
Yes. And if you'd actually like to find me, I'm here, always on the Allight Network, always at Baycore, at Friday with the Library in the Blue Box, and my author page, Jennifer Elliott. And we shall talk to you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Greetings and shabibans. We are the Retro Reductibus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Yeah, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite Steve's trying to say is that on Retro Redoctopus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh.
And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Door King Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brig.
You can listen to Retro Redoctopus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.